Hey guys, FEP Obama here, and I'm going to be bringing you a quick video on setting up Netplay for ePSXe, aka the PlayStation 1 emulator. So I'm going to assume you already have WinRAR or some other program to decompress files, and that's pretty much the only thing I'm going to assume you have or have done. Okay. So I've gotten this to work on ePSXe blah, okay, 1.7. So I recommend getting it from here on EMU Paradise. All links will be in the description below. So I would recommend downloading it from here because there's a file that you will need to run ePSXe, just in general, even without Netplay. That may not come in the folder if you download it from the official site, but this site is still good. I use this site for downloading emulator games like the ROMs, so this site is safe. Trust me, I wouldn't use it if it wasn't safe or in the least bit shady. So you want to download this, and then you also want to download the Netplay plugins from this website as well. Again, link will be in the description. So you want to download this, right? Okay. So I recommend after you have those two things downloaded, you put your ePSXe 1.7 in a folder like what I have right here. I like to do this just to keep everything organized and at the same time make it easier for the emulator to find things, to route to the programs it needs, like the memory cards and everything. That's just me. So after you've downloaded all that and you put your ePSXe into a folder, I named mine ePSXe2 just because I have 2.0 and this is 1.7. Again, we're using 1.7. You can do it on 2.0, but this is the version it's worked for me on. So if you have any problems, make sure you're using this, and then I can try and help you out. Right, so we're using 1.7. You have the emulator put in a folder. Now what you want to do is that file I told you to download, the Netplay plugins, it'll look like this on WinRAR. Now what you want to do is you want to go into the Calera P2P and you want to extract this file directly into the folder. See, notice this, I extract this file, the Calera client.dll, right here, right underneath the ePSXe application. I'm not putting it into plugins. I'm not putting it into anywhere else. I'm putting it just into this folder. Okay? That's important. Next, you want to put in CyberPad 1.4 and you want to take the cpka.dll file and you want to put that into your plugins. And that is right here. So you can see both. Okay. Then I would recommend also putting this ps4 net.dll into your plugins as well, just to have. This, we won't be using this, but just in case you want to mess around with other methods of using Netplay, I'd recommend putting this and CyberPad 1.0 into here. These will not conflict with each other, so don't worry about any conflicting programs. When you put them in here, it'll still work. But we're going to be using CyberPad 1.40, so make sure you put the cpka.dll file into the plugins. Okay? I press back. Okay. So now we have everything downloaded and everything set up in here in your files. So we're going to open up ePSXe 1.7 and we're going to quickly go through the config. Now you can go through the wizard guide. I'm just going to do it this way. Go into BIOS, make sure, now the key thing I should mention before this is make sure everybody playing in Netplay has the same exact settings. This is very important, okay? Same video settings, same BIOS, same sound settings, and same gamepad settings, controller settings. So, for example, my BIOS is 7 is SC7 SCPH7502. Okay, the default is 1001, I believe. You guys just have to make sure that you both are using the same BIOS file, and you'll see your BIOS come up when you go through this. So if we just go through this, you see 1.0. So just click that. Not going to change that right now, but make sure you have that selected when you go through the wizard. Actually, let's just do that. So we gotta click this, click next. Alright, this is also a very important point. If this will come up every time you go to change your settings. Don't panic. There's nothing wrong with this coming up. Just hit OK. Alright. Then I use Pete's OpenGL driver 2.9. This comes with the emulator. So click I would recommend going into config. Here's my settings. I play in window mode. Again, make sure you guys are using the same settings. I believe you can't go over, for windowed mode, if you're doing Netplay, you can't go over 1280 by 720. So make sure if you're playing in windowed, you go 1280 by 720. I believe you can go full screen. Try it. If it doesn't work, again, window size 1280 by 720 max. Then everything else, I'll also put this in the description below. This will be dependent on your computer setup, so I can't tell you what you need to do. For me, I have a recently new computer, about a year old, so I can run this emulator on the max settings. So internal X resolution I have at 2. I'll just say the numbers. Internal Y resolution 3, stretching mode 0. I think stretching mode is going to apply to everyone, so just keep that in mind. You want to have that at 0. Render mode 2. Textures 6. High res textures 2. With pixel shader checked. Use FPS limit. This is also an important thing. You want to have use FPS limit checked, and then you want to set the FPS limit at 60. Okay, and again, make sure both people doing this. I've only tested it playing 2 players in Crash Team Racing. Make sure both players are using 60 frames. Compatibility 2, frame buffer 3, next frame buffer upload 2, screen filtering checked, shader effects checked. Then chose the first setting, the 1 right next to it, and MDEC filter checked. Hit OK. Next, sound. Okay, so for Crash Team Racing, the ePSXe SPU Core 1.70, you do not have to configure this. Okay, so just make sure this is checked. You will, for certain games, have to download another sound plugin, which is why I have this one. Again, I can give the link in the description to where you download this, because different games will sometimes have weird sound effects. So for example, while using this driver or this plugin, when we played Crash and Netplay, the sound echoed and was extremely loud, like take off your headphones loud. And then when we switched to this one, the SPU Core, it worked perfectly. So again, go with SPU Core for now for Crash Team Racing, and then if the sound is off, you want to use a different sound plugin. Again, I'll provide the link for that. So go on SPU Core next. Then which you just want to choose the default here. Mine is ePSXe CDR WNT/W2K Core 1.70. Next. I'll just click next on this on the pads, and you say done. Okay, so game pads. You want to have both port 1 and port 2. Okay, you have these two. Pad 1 on both of them. You want both of these to have the same settings. So go through and configure these however you want. Make sure Rumble is off. Make sure all these settings on the right hand side say none. Okay? And you're going to use these same settings for port 2 pad number 1. Okay? So again, you're going to configure that one in port 1, this pad. Then you got to go to port 2, pad 1, and configure these with the same settings you just did. Okay? And make sure Rumble is turned off. So all these things on the right again are say none. The controller setting, I'd recommend using digital. I think you can use dual analog. Pretty sure you can use dual analog, but don't use anything else besides digital and dual analog. Okay? And both players, again, you guys have to have the same settings. So make sure both of you guys have pad 1 enabled and with the same settings, both of you with the same controller setup, and port 2 pad 1, same thing. Okay, so now we are going to go into the Netplay. So it'll say select Netplay plugin, it'll start off disabled, right? So if you're playing single player, make sure you come back to this and disable Netplay, or else your game will crash because you'll load up the game and then it'll bring up the server, which we're about to get to, and if you don't have someone to play with and you exit out of it, the game will crash and then you have to boot up the emulator again. So again, to play single player, you have to go to config, Netplay, and then disable. So we're going to play Netplay though. Choose CyberPad 1.4. Click OK. And now, fun part. We go after you guys have again checked that you have all the same settings, all the same video settings, right? The same plugin for video and for sound. You want to go to run ISO, Crash Team Racing. So you'll get this screen once you do that. Once you choose your ISO. Again, make sure you guys have both the same game as well, the same ISO, the same version. Okay. So what the host wants to do is just again, you can, well, I say again, make your nickname. Nickname doesn't matter. I have mine as Obama. What you want to do is go to host, click host, then it'll say unknown game, but this unknown game is the game you've selected when you chose run ISO. So don't worry that it says unknown game, and then you'll click host, and that's all the host has to do. If you're connecting now, if you're connecting, you'll be in this screen. You'll choose connect right here rather than host, right? And what you want to do is you're going to ask the person who's hosting for their external IP address. So how you can do this is just type in Google, what is my IP address? Or what is my external IP address? And you get their IP address and you put it here and you make sure you have this this other part, this port number. Okay? And then you'll click connect and you should be connected. Now, here's a problem though that you may run into, which is why I didn't mention it with the host. So what may happen is when you host, we'll just host one. Okay, this is what the host screen looks like. Obviously, if the person is able to connect, all you have to do is click here and the game will start up. Easy. Let's say the person has put in your IP address, they put in the port number, and they still haven't connected. It'll show up right here, by the way. If they've connected, it'll say this guy has joined the room, whatever. If they aren't able to connect, even though they put in the correct information and everything, you will have to port forward or do some port forwarding in your modem/router. I can't really show that because it has some personal data, my IP address, but you can try and look up videos on, I might actually do a video on port forwarding, but you will have to port forward this port, 27886. And once you do that, the person should be able to connect to you pretty easily. You should automatically, to be honest. And that's how the Netplay works for ePSXe. Again, if you have any problems at this stage, you will need to port forward, which is going into your router/modem. How you do that is opening up a browser and just typing in 192.168.1.1 or .2, it depends. And then again, opening this port. Now, I will put a link to help you guys out with port forwarding. Again, someone might be able to explain it better, just because I don't feel very comfortable exposing my router. So yeah, once you get that, again, the person should be able to connect automatically to you, and it'll come up here. They'll hit ready. You check this. See, it says you're marked. And as soon as you do that, the game will start up. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you liked the video, remember to like, subscribe for more. Thank you guys for watching, and hope you enjoy. Deuces.